PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of Thinking into Results is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them.
Oops, sorry.
Well, looks like we're starting.
Yes. Welcome to Thinking in Results. And our show today is about the paradigm shift, about reprogramming your mind. I'm Sid Maestri. I'm a certified consultant with Proctor Gallagher, Thinking in Results program. And my co-host is John Gage. He's a trained voice actor and a longtime student of the Thinking in Results program. And today we're going to talk about the mind and about changing our paradigm. Our paradigm is a collection of habitual habits of how we do things. And we're going to do I got a little sketch here of how we see the mind in a way you've never seen it before. And John's going to tell you a few things about it. Do I have this right here?
Yeah, you do. Well, a lot of times people don't understand how the mind works. So what this little diagram does is kind of brings it into a picture. So you have your conscious mind, which is what we normally do when we're thinking, and we can control that. And then your subconscious mind is your emotion, your habits. It's what drives you to do things. And it helps attract stuff to you. And the way it does that is the conscious mind filters all those little things that come in. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. These are all conscious signs to show you that life is real and we have things that are happening. And with the conscious mind, if we didn't have a filter or a gatekeeper, so to speak, the subconscious mind would be overloaded and we all be kind of, well, let's just say not so sane. But so you receive all of these little signals from everything that happens. And your conscious mind sorts it out and then filters it and allows your subconscious mind to see the reality that you want it to. And we get that through various things like environment, DNA. You know, when you're raised in a family, you're taught to like what your parents like to eat. So if your parents like steak and eggs, that's what you eat. If your parents like green vegetables, that's what you eat. And we have to kind of teach ourselves to eat a little different. My parents grew up and it was steak and potatoes for dinner and eggs and toast for breakfast. Well, I don't eat that. I don't eat like that anymore because I've decided to change the way I taste. So I changed my food paradigm because I just wanted to kind of explore. And we get these growing up. We have this bombardment of things that our mind turns into reality for us, and the subconscious mind keeps that reality going. How do you change that reality? And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the paradigm shift. And the paradigm shift, for simple terms, is an important change that happens when the usual way of thinking about or doing something is replaced by a new and different way. And there are several different ways to affect that paradigm shift, isn't there, Sid?
Yes, yes, there is. And I'll just lay it out there. The most traumatic event basically in our lifetime was the 9/11 attack.
Right.
And John will share a few other ways that that happens. And the other way from a traumatic event is elite coaching, which is the Thinking and Results program, being able to consciously make changes versus having a traumatic effect that automatically changes the way you're thinking. So, John, tell us a little bit more about the relationship of the thinking mind and the emotional mind affecting our actions.
Well, the subconscious only knows one form. That all the whatever the subconscious believes is reality. So it it drives your behaviors, it drives your beliefs, it drives a multitude of habits that we have concerning how our life is to run and how we do things, how we react to things. And a lot of people take all this stuff coming in and they have a tendency to allow what's affecting them on the outside, what's happening on the outside, to affect what's on the inside. And one of the things we teach by thinking into results, we teach you how to control that. We teach you, because essentially your conscious mind is a gatekeeper, kind of like when you go into the doctor's office and you say, I'd like to see the doctor. They say, let me see if they're busy. That's a gatekeeper. Your conscious mind says, well, I don't really want my subconscious to see that. So we end up filtering a lot of stuff that we don't want. And we talk about thinking into results a lot. And one of the things that Napoleon Hill came to realize is that all great people, no matter what they accomplished, whether it was good or bad, all had one thing in common. They became what they think about all the time, which means that subconscious moves into that conscious thoughts eventually become your subconscious reality. So you're really not thinking about it, but you're thinking about it. Your subconscious now sees it as reality. So it starts looking for things to accomplish that reality. So that's kind of how it all works. Would there be anything else you would add to that, Sid?
Well, first thing is I'm going to take this down because I'm getting tired. Now, we've talked about when we say thinking about it all day long. I like to use the example of Henry Ford because he's doing things, but his passion is building a car.
Right.
And just to shift for a second, our thoughts are things. Thoughts have energy. And when you're thinking about something, you're sending a message out into the universe. And we like to say the universe is an ocean of motion. Everything has a vibration. And the vibration of what we want, whenever we're thinking about it, we're sending that vibration into the universe. And the universe will conspire to help create, bring things to you, bring people to you, ideas. And what should I say?
Solutions.
Yeah. I don't pause very often, but my own experience, just having intention of something and just writing it out. When you write out your goal and you're reading it every day, each time you're reading it, you're picturing what you want.
Correct.
And when you least expect it, that solution comes into your mind.
Yeah.
to, to switch just a little bit here, that I like to say that things are created three times. It comes into God's mind first, the creator, divine intelligence, whatever word we want to use. And then it shows up in our mind. And then we've got this idea. I always like to use the first chair. The idea of a chair comes into someone's mind, and it manifests by them building the chair here in the third dimension. God's mind, your mind, and then you manifest it. And everything on the planet here has come from an idea, someone's imagination, and then taking action. And everybody doesn't take action. That's why there's always an argument of who created the first airplane, as an example, or who had the first telephone. We know it's Alexander Graham Bell, but there's probably somebody in Russia at the same time was doing it. God's just not going to wait for one person just in case the first one doesn't move on it.
You want to know something interesting?
Tell me.
Iron Man, like on my shirt here. I don't know. My nerd is coming out really hardcore right here at the moment, but Iron Man has a little power unit that powers his suit, where his heart is, because he's got shrapnel in there, and he's created this power unit, and it's a quantum pulse power unit of some sort. I forget exactly what it is, but the power, it renews itself, and it can power almost unlimited amount of things. I found a video the other day where they actually created one that looks almost identical to this, and it looks almost identical to it and works.
Wow.
So, we have cell phones because of Star Trek. That's where the first cell phone came from, because they wanted so just because somebody imagined it and drew it out and did pretend for a little while, somebody took that idea and expanded upon it. And that's how shifting a paradigm for a whole population kind of works, is you start shifting your paradigm, and then you start having ideas come to you. And because I've woken up in the middle of the night going, that's how I fix it, and it's the right answer. And so you come up with an idea. It's like airplanes, like how fast they evolved from barely being able to get off the ground and flying to subsonic. It wasn't even 100 years. So we're talking about, once you can shift your paradigm, and it starts affecting other people start taking what you created through that paradigm and expanding upon it. And so if you can change your thinking and put that toward your children and your grandchildren, do you see where I'm going with this? We can change the paradigm for our whole family simply by changing how we think and saying, I don't want to be that person anymore. And that does a lot, especially for your happiness. And I can vouch for that.
Well, John, as you're talking there, and I like that the next step is your action. Taking a new action, and I want to say being the example, has a great impact on your family. But I want to get back to our reprogramming our mind for success, and that is to take that look at what are the things that you're doing that are preventing you from getting what you want, and being able to identify what are your negative activities, and being able to, what we say is getting the polar opposite. And we use an example of what is the activity? It can be the thought, but let's say, what's the activity that's not working that you've been doing? And it's a habit. It's one of the items in your paradigm. And to write a statement of the polar opposite of it. And we always use for our affirmations, we always use, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and then we state it in the present tense, in the future, like we've already got it, we're already doing it. And I recommend you write it out 10 times and then record it 10 times. So now you've got it 100 times repetition, 3 or 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes in your phone. And you can listen to it multiple times. The key is repetition. And John, I want to tell him a quick story on Napoleon Hill.
Right.
Napoleon Hill, I didn't have my book right next to me, which I usually do. So Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, published in 1937, has sold over 100 million copies worldwide. And Napoleon Hill was a cub reporter, and his assignment, they were interviewing successful people, and he was given Andrew Carnegie to interview. At that time was the wealthiest man in the world, and had a very successful, the largest steel company. And he had thoughts about how he was successful, and realizing that a lot of successful people generally, when they died, how they were successful went with them. And he had an idea, and he thought he wanted someone that would go interview successful people. And he made an offer to Napoleon Hill that he would introduce him to 500 successful people, most successful people in the United States. And it was going to take him 20 years to do it and have to support himself. And Napoleon Hill agreed. Matter of fact, I've heard a tape of him telling the story that he said yes in 29 seconds, not knowing that Andrew Carnegie was holding his watch below the desk, giving him 1 minute. And the where I'm going with this, he wanted Napoleon Hill to write out a statement that would help him. And the statement was, Andrew Carnegie, I'm not only going to match your achievements in life, I'm going to challenge you at the post and pass you at the grandstand. And Napoleon Hill says, I threw my pencil down and said, I don't believe that. And Andrew Carnegie says, I know you don't believe that, but I'd like you to read that in front of the mirror once in the morning and once in the evening for 30 days. Napoleon Hill said, I can do that. And at the end of the 2 weeks, nothing really had happened, just maybe a little glimmer. Mm-hmm. The third week, you're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, as he put it. At the end of 30 days, he knew he could do it. When I say he knew he could do it, he believed he could do it. He had the faith he could do it. And that was through the repetition. And that's the heart of what we teach at Thinking in Results. In making your changes is the repetition. When our program is 6 months, and we have 12 lessons, and you spend 2 weeks on each one. And it's the repetition is at the heart to making changes in anything in your life. Having an accountability partner, which we work with. It's easy to keep your word to somebody else, but it's also easy not to keep your word with yourself.
Right.
I'm thinking back, I was in my 30s, and I used to go running in the morning. And I had a partner to run with. But often days that he couldn't make it, I couldn't make it. But anytime we had a commitment, we knew we were both doing it. I always showed up.
Mhm.
So that's what we believe in your anything that you're studying, any activity that you're going to be doing every day, and it's new. To have an accountability partner is very, very important. Well, I've done a lot of talking there, John.
That's all right.
The
Well, you know, you're right, because we talk about, when you ask somebody, how many times when I was younger, I'd be asked, well, why do you do that? I don't know. I've always done it that way. How many times have you heard that when you start talking to people about this and you ask them, well, how often, why do you do that? I know you asked me a couple of things about my habits. I'm like, I don't know. I've always done it that way. Because you don't think about it, because once it's in your paradigm, you're done thinking about it. Your subconscious takes over, and it's just something you do regularly. It becomes a habit. Now, whether it's a good or bad habit, that's that's kind of up to you. But we want to change these by the way we think. And like we said before, there are a couple of ways to really affect this and push it forward quickly. The quickest way is through an emotional, tragic event. And like was used earlier, 9/11, and we talked about the assassination of John F. Kennedy. These were all events that were like a nationwide paradigm shift on how things were done. I mean, look how fast we went from being able to just board airplanes for forever without even thinking about it when before 9/11 happened, to having to be strip searched half the time, so that there was one time I had a little thing in my wallet I forgot about, and had a little point on the end of it, and they confiscated it because it could be used as a weapon. I thought it was silly. I still think it's silly, by the way, because it really wasn't. But it was like, okay. And my first comment was, so you're going to take a picture of that and put it on your website with all the other bad weapons that you pick up. And I probably shouldn't have said that, but it felt good because I shouldn't have taken it. But still, we went from pretty much having absolute freedom to get on there to almost having no freedom at all to take what we want on a plane. They say you have freedom, but there's really no freedom. You have to follow these very, very strict guidelines. You have to run everything through X-ray, because I flew in planes before that, and it was just like, oh yeah, we're gonna check you in, great, go. I mean, it really wasn't that much. You could take a bottle of water. Now you can't. There's so many limitations because of what happened 24 years ago, and so it kind of changed our ideas a little bit too of how things work. The other way you do that, and tragedy in your life changes it too. So but my point is, that's something that everybody can identify with. The best and the best way to do that is to change your thoughts one at a time. You know, to get with a partner, have a mentor. Like you or I, to mentor you and help you through this, because there are so many different things. Because when you start changing your mind starts wrestling with itself, because you're used to X, and now your subconscious is thinking X is your reality, and your conscious is saying, no, I want to change it to Y. Now you got X and Y arguing and fighting and conflicting, because that's not what's reality to the subconscious. So we help you understand that process, and how that process works. And in order to change your life, you need to change how you think, because when you start thinking differently, you start attracting differently. You start moving towards other aspects of what you want to do and what your life may be and what your life should have been. You start going, I kind of like the idea of doing that. Or, I love to fish. Wouldn't it be great to turn that into a job? Well, that's not reality. And we say that. Why? Because we've always been told you need to be here in reality. And that's living from the outside in instead of the inside out. We need to start going, I like to fish. How can I monetize that? How can I turn that into something I do on a regular basis? Or I like to use my voice for different things. How do I turn that into reality? Where do I start? You start that, then you write it down and you repeat it on the gold card. Yes, absolutely. What's that say on it, Rick, Sid?
Let me, well, I'm not going to tell you what my goal is.
No, but what does the gold card say?
Well, on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. This great dream, this surging dynamic thing, invisible to all the world, except to the person who holds it, is responsible for every great advance of humanity.
Gee.
And the gold card, real quick, like I see our time, Bob Proctor, back 61, 62, he was a fireman earning $4,000 a month, and he owed $6,000. Someone gave him this book and said, here's a gold card, write how much money you want. And he wrote $25,000 on it. And he didn't believe that he could do it. But Ray Stanford, who gave it to him, he said, he believed it. So Bob took his belief. And then he started hearing people talking about business. And he heard someone say there's money cleaning offices. And Bob says, well, I'm not proud. So he went out and got cleaning equipment and a waxer and so forth. And in a couple of years, he was earning hundreds of thousands of dollars. How did that happen? He was thinking about, how can I make more money? How can I find a way to make more money? And I believe he had a couple other things before that didn't work out, but that was the one that worked out because he was persistent and didn't give up from trying other things.
And that's how we change. That's how we change our paradigm.
Yep.
If we want better things, we need to start thinking about better things. And when you start wanting something, even all the great books of wisdom out there, Bible included, one of the things they tell you is to think good thoughts. Think you become what you think about. Don't think about these evil thoughts because that's who you'll become. Think this way. You become what you think about.
Exactly.
Not what somebody else thinks about, but what you think about.
John, I'm looking at the time here. You're supposed to put it at the bottom, but the website is sidmaestri.com. We'll take you to the Thinking Results website. You can learn more about the program. There's a video with Bob, and you can reach out, connect with me, and we could set up a time if you want to talk about your goals and have a lot of fun. In fact, a friend of mine who was very successful, and he says, well, there's 3 rules. You want to help a lot of people, you want to make a lot of money, and you want to have a lot of fun.
Yep, they say one of the best ways to get wealthy is to give.
The more people you can help, the more rewards, abundance comes to you.
Absolutely.
And it isn't always money. I think we all know that.
Absolutely.
So I just working with Bob and helping people with this program, seeing their lives change is very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, like I was retired a number of years, very happy. And then I went to Bob Proctor's seminar. I learned what he was teaching. And so I want to be one of your consultants and help share your program, your teaching. Because Thinking Results is a result of over 50 years of studying and teaching this information in a nice, let's say, package in six months. You'll need a telescope to look back to where you were when you started.
I can promise that.
Thank you, John. I look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you next week, next Wednesday, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.